Joining me now is Behnam Ben Taleblu, Senior Director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's Iran program, known for his deep expertise on Iran and also regional security. Behnam, it's great to have you. Let me pick up where Robert just left off and what you make of the juxtaposition of Netanyahu nominating Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize at the White House while news breaks of 5 IDF troops being killed in Gaza.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. There is indeed great connective tissue here between the fronts that you're mentioning, meaning the Iranian front and the front of Israel's continued fighting in Gaza, as well as, of course, politically what both leaders, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, want with respect to what's happening in both territories in Gaza and with respect to Iran's nuclear program as well. In Gaza, of course, I think the Prime Minister has benefited from the initial rounds of political support President Trump gave, and I think he's trying to roll that over into a political green light, perhaps, if that there needs to be more military pressure applied to the Iranians, that the Israelis will be the ones to do that, whereas I think President Trump is trying to take a victory lap after the use of military force against Iran's nuclear facilities to bring a little bit of pressure to bear on the Prime Minister for a ceasefire and a phased hostage deal. And let's just say this potential Nobel Prize nomination helps to grease the wheels in both directions.
And you and I have been talking for a few weeks now, and this meeting comes in the shadow, of course, of those U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites. How do you think Tehran just interpreted this moment last night at the White House? And how do you think they view the strength or maybe even the weakness of the United States and Israel?
Well, I think at this point in time, they certainly see the strength, but also they're going to have to pay much more close attention and making sure that their eyes are not deceiving them, because I certainly think the Iranians in the spring of this year over-inferred, either based on news sources or based on their own political interpretations of the Trump-Bibi tiff or the Trump-Bibi fight, however you want to call it or spin it or style it. That was reported in the press when it came to the president saying no to the Israelis when it came to striking Iran's nuclear program, as well as some of the politics to ceasefire, hostages, Steve Witkoff, and even the fact that Qatar was mediating these talks. So now I think the Iranians are seeing two major partners meet with one another in the U.S. and actually be able to sing from the same sheet of music when it comes to Gaza and from Iran.
Yeah. A couple different moments stuck out to us last night about this dinner. Of course, this is the Nobel Peace Prize moment, but also this moment and what comes next when Trump spoke about his next steps with Iran.
I hope it's over. Yeah, I think Iran wants to meet. I think they want to make peace, and I'm all for it. Now, if that's not the case, we are ready, willing, and able. But I don't think we're going to have to be.
Yeah, so the door, Behnam, it sounds like, is pretty open for more strikes to take place. How would you rate the Trump administration's current approach to the crisis? And do you think the president is striking a proper balance between supporting Israel's security needs and pushing for the release of those hostages?
Well, certainly, I think something that I would want and anyone who wants an end to the conflict in Gaza would be to get all the hostages out, both deceased and alive, at the same time. I think this hostage deal is phased. Unfortunately, that gives a little bit more time and leverage to Hamas, as does, of course, the fact that Israel took a few more casualties just recently, as you reported. But with respect to Iran, I think both countries, the U.S. and the Israelis, are again singing from the same sheet of music here, that now that the door has been opened to potentially military strikes, that they now have this tool in the toolkit, meaning both countries do, and could, use the threat of military force to prevent the Iranians from reconstituting or rebuilding at those 3 sites that were struck by the U.S. or the multiple other ones that were struck by the Israelis. So there is an opportunity here to move the Venn diagram closer and closer together.
And just before I let you go, what should the U.S. be demanding of other mediators like Qatar as it hosts indirect talks with Hamas?
The U.S. should be demanding really full release. I think a phased approach to the hostages, 10, then 8, or 8, then 10, I forgot the number that the Qataris said has been agreed to, is too little too late. I think the U.S. has an opportunity here to really push to get everyone out here all at once, and then to go to the Israelis and turn the 60-day ceasefire into something larger with a political pathway for the Palestinians and potentially even with the Palestinian Authority.
Behnam Ben Taleblu, thank you for your time and expertise, as always.
Thank you.